What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bring you guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a mid-fade on my brother, so stay tuned. We're gonna start off by saturating the hair and combing everything in place. We're combing everything in place so we can have a neat canvas and nice silhouette. Now that we have all the hair laid down, we can switch over to our anti-outliners and create our first guideline. You always want to make sure you contour this guideline to their head shape so the fade can flow better. You always want to make sure you use your opposite hand to stretch the skin. Now that we're done balding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. You want to make sure you make this guideline around 1 inch thick so you can spread the blend. Using your no guard all the way closed and midway will help you erase that initial guideline. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to the 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. Remember, you're going to use this same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the half guard. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 1 guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can move on to the 2 guard all the way open and create our fourth guideline. Always make sure to flick out once you reach the top of the silhouette. Also, I'm using my comb to feed the hair into the clipper. When using the 2 guard, you want to make sure you use the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the 1.5 guard. Now we're using the 1 guard all the way open to connect the 1.5 to the half. Now we're moving on to the 3 guard all the way open, and we're continuing to cut into the silhouette. Us flicking out as much as we can is going to prepare us for a clipper over comb. Before you start your clipper over comb, you want to make sure the hair is nice and damp so it doesn't lift when you use your comb. Now we're going to feed the comb into the hair and pull as much out as we can. Seeing the density of the hair follicles that show through the white comb, you can see how much you want to cut. So the more you pull away from the hair, the less hair you're going to cut. So if you're a beginner in clipper over comb, always start off by cutting little by little. Also, when the cutting blade is horizontal, I'm debulking as you can see here, and when the cutting blade is vertical, I'm blending. Here I'm going back to my 3 guard all the way open, trying to make the fade as smooth as possible. Now we're using our thinning shears to thin out the hair. I did see a little bit of bulkiness near the edge, so I wanted to thin it out. Now that we're done with the side fade, we can move on to our anti outliners and make a C-cup as crispy as possible. I always start off at the bottom and work on my way to the top arch just to make sure the hair feeds into the trimmer. Moving on to the back, we're going to start off with our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. Once we have our guideline complete, we could then start to close the lever little by little all the way closed and then erase our initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to the 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. We are nearing the occipital bone, so you want to make sure you spend more time here. Moving on to our 2-guard all the way open, we're creating our 4th guideline and we're using the comb to feed the hair into the clipper. We are nearing the calic area, so you want to make sure you be very careful and go as slow as possible without making any mistakes. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 2-guard, we will move on to the 1.5 guard and erase the line completely. Now that we're done using our 3-guard, we can switch over to our clipper of a comb and complete the silhouette. As you can see here, I'm using my horizontal cuts just to make sure I debulk, and then I'm using my vertical cuts just to make sure it's blended. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. Also, if you leave a comment down below, I'm 100% going to reply to it. Moving on to the shears, we're going to start off by saturating the hair and then creating our first guideline through the middle. Once we create our first guideline, we're then going to connect that guideline to the sides and make the fade as smooth as possible through the silhouette. When doing shear work, you always want to make sure you grab the hair with the comb, then your fingers, then cut with your shears. Now that we're done with our shear work, we're going to use the blow dryer to dry his hair. What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing you guys a brand new video. We're going to be doing a mid-taper on one of my clients, so stay tuned. We're starting off by saturating the hair and combing everything in place. Now that our canvas is nice and neat, we can move on to our T outliners and create our first guideline. You want to make sure you contour this guideline to the head shape and you don't press too hard, because you can end up leaving a harsh line. Now that we're done boarding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. Make sure you make this guideline around 1 inch thick so you can spread the blend. Closing your lever midway and all the way closed will help you erase that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. With this same guard, you're going to use the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the half guard. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 1 guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. Now that we're done with the half guard, we can move on to our 2 guard all the way open and create our 4th guideline. Remember to flick out once you reach the top. Also, we're going to use the same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the 1.5 guard. Now we're using our 1.5 guard to erase the line completely. Sometimes there's still a faint line after you're using your 1.5 guard, so switching over to your 1 guard all the way open and using its corners will help you. Now that we're done detailing with our lower guards, we can move on to the clipper over comb method and start to debulk and make the blend as smooth as possible. When the cutting blade is horizontal, I'm debulking, and when the cutting blade is going up vertically, I'm blending. Remember, I'm keeping the comb at a certain degree, whichever degree is needed. Moving on to the side taper, we're starting off with our T outliners and we're creating our first guideline at a curved shape. Now that we're done balding them out, we're moving on to our no guard all the way open, and we're following that same rainbow shape. Switching over to our one guard all the way open, we're creating our third guideline, and we're still following that curved shape using the corners. Remember, we're going to soften up the line with the one guard and then move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we're switching over to our two guard all the way open, and we're creating our fourth guideline. Remember, we're using the corners to follow that same curve shape. Now that the line is soft enough and we're done debulking, we can move on to the 1.5 guard and erase the line completely. Now we're moving on to the 3 guard all the way open, and we're debulking the sides. There was still a little bit of bulk, and I felt like the fade could have been a little bit smoother, so I went with my clip roll comb and debulked. Now we're moving on to the neckline. There is a lot of bulk right there on the edge, so I went with my 3 guard all the way open and debulked. I also went with my clip roll comb to make it as smooth as possible. Now that we're done with our clip roll comb, we can move on to our NST outliners and make them as crispy as possible. I usually start off at the bottom and work our way to the top arch. Remember, when you reach the top arch, you want to not press as hard because the skin does get a little bit thinner, so you could nick them with your teeth. Moving on to the C-cups, we're starting off at the bottom and working our way to the top arch. We're also going to make sure we go slow enough that the hair feeds into the trimmer and it cuts properly. Here we're using a little bit of salicylic powder just so he doesn't bump up after we're done using the photo shaver to remove the stubble. Now that we're done lining them up, we're going to put in as much detail into the taper as possible. Now that we're done detailing and lining them up, we can move on to the top and continue with our shear work. I always make sure the hair is nice and damp, and then I comb everything in place, and then I continue to make my guideline through the middle, connecting it to the sides. You really want to make sure the hair is nice and dense so you could get the hair's true length. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, leave a comment down below if you made it this far into the video. I'm definitely gonna reply. Moving on to our Turkish razor and Derby premium blades, we're going to make them as crispy as possible, and we're also going to be doing his eyebrows. A few tips on using the razor: you always want to make sure you lather the skin with shave gel, and then you use the razor at a 45-degree angle, stretching the skin as much as possible.